So I'm Alex Scannell-Brady.
I'm Emily Garver.
And I'm Danny White.
All right. What do you guys think? So the two articles were pretty interesting, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Did you guys, by chance, I did you agree 100% with either of them?
It's hard. I I feel like I honestly lean more towards what mothers know. But I did have some thoughts about both, kind of just like, oh, I totally agree with that, but that I'm like, not that I disagreed, but more of it made me feel kind of like, wow, I'm not doing very well. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but
I wish. I think it would be interesting to read these and not know who was behind each one. So
that's
that's more of like a, I don't know, you're not biased towards anyway. Because I was reading this, I'm like, oh, I love, who is it? Sister Beck. Oh, I love
Mhm.
her. And oh, what she's saying is so good. And then I read the other one, like, oh, they're going against Sister Beck. And so if I came at it not knowing who said what thing, I might have had a different perspective.
Yeah, I agree. I think like I'll be honest, when I watched Sister Beck's talk just instead of reading it, I watched it and I'll be honest, like I really felt the spirit and like I almost teared up on a couple parts just because I am a mom and you guys will be soon. Alex, you already are a mom because you're pregnant.
Mhm.
You just have a very different connection when you are a mom. Like it hits even deeper. Like it's like, you know, and so I have to say I there were some points that I really felt the spirit when she was speaking and it gave me hope and encouragement, I guess, and you know, so
Yeah, I think I probably agreed with 75% of Sister Beck's talk that I was like, oh my gosh, absolutely. That is beautiful. That's an eternal truth. Oh my word. And then I probably agreed with about 35% of the counter argument where I was like, absolutely, I completely agree with that. And then something else I was like, I think you're stretching it, or I think you're making my problem with some of the things I was like, how did you even get that from her article? You
Uh-huh.
know, like some of them I'm like, absolutely, like nurturing. I wasn't saying men don't nurture, but at the same time, I agree it's important that men develop nurturing skills. That's super
right.
important. And both fathers and mothers need to be nurturing. I completely agree with that. But it bothered me that some of the things they were saying, it's like they were angry about something that she really kind of hadn't been saying. Um, so things like that. So I just kind of I agreed with most of what Sister Beck said. The only ones where I was like, I don't think that's an eternal value. I think that's a cultural value. Some of the cleanliness things, it's like that is nowhere near as important as spiritual cleanliness, as truth, and like that's just not as important.
Hmm.
Those are nice though, like
Right.
those are nice and those are good, but better to have a messy house with children that are loved and well fed and clothed than a clean house and everyone be angry. you know so you
Yeah.
have to pick and choose your battles, and I don't think it's right to put all of that weight on cleanliness, when it's a benefit. It's not essential,
Right.
and it makes it, the way she said it made me feel like it was more essential than I think it's intended to be.
Yeah.
um and I think that's where a lot of people started to feel like, I can't do that. I can't stay sane and do everything I need to do.
Yeah.
Though I loved what she said about not overdoing things. Your kids don't need to be playing three different instruments and be on two different sports teams
Right.
every year. They can spend a little more time than that at home, and it's better for them, even though those are developing great skills, which the church pushes. At the same time, you know, family time, family dinner, we know how important that is, and that gets lost when we do too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I definitely, when you're a mom, I feel like cleaning's kind of last. I mean, you have to do the essentials, but I'm going to school and I'm working and I'm a mom, and so it's kind of the last thing that gets done. But I think, she's saying that as mothers, we need to be nurturers and homemakers. And I don't think that means you have to be a stay-at-home mom and do everything all the time at home being a homemaker. But I think when you have opportunities at home, you need to teach them simple things like cleaning and cooking and things that are life skills that we all need to learn. Because I think, I don't feel like she's pushing that you have to be a stay-at-home mom full time and do all this. But when you have those opportunities, you need to be a homemaker. You need to be an example and teach those things that are important.
I completely agree. And I liked the counterpoint on that one too, where it's not just the mother's responsibility to keep house and to do all that, because they're doing more and we have to do more. Like it's so rare that a family can afford for the mom to stay home. That's kind of a rare, beautiful treat. And sometimes when we can, like I'm not I'm not a housewife, that's for sure. I would literally go crazy and fall into a deep depression if I stayed home all day.
Right.
However, I can be home 85-90% of the time, and sure enough, anytime my kids need me, especially when they're in school, why would I be home when they're not home? But that's just me.
Right.
I'm doing more, as we're doing more as women, the husbands are doing more to help out around the house, and that's good. I liked how it said those kids need those skills, but I guess where I'm coming from, my parents had reversed roles in a lot of ways. And like my dad, he was the music teacher and my mom was the businesswoman. Now, granted, she hated working. She hated being a businesswoman, but she was really, really, really good at it. And we couldn't afford to live on a band teacher's income as a large family. It just, so she had to work, and she kind of resented the fact that she had to work. It's not, she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. That was truly her dream and what she wanted. But she was tough and in some ways difficult, whereas my dad is as gentle and kind and nurturing and loving as they get. And the roles were all of our needs were met. All of the roles were being performed, but kind of by reverse, And that worked so well for us, and it meant so much. And it really bothers me when they put too much emphasis on roles, because we aren't just a triangle and a square. Men are not all this way, women are not all this way. There's a spectrum, and we're all over it. You have a few people who are extremely feminine in all things, but they're the exception, not the rule. For the most part, we're all along these roles. I am a nurturer. I always wanted to be a mother. I'll be a good mother, but at the same time, I love fixing things. I want to be able to work, especially when my kids are at school. And we have these different qualities, and it makes us complete. And sometimes when we put too much emphasis on, this is your eternal role, this is your eternal role, nothing without that, which I don't think God means nothing without that.
Right.
That's when we create problems, because people don't fit that. And how does it make my dad feel when he's told his responsibility is to be the provider? That is a man's job. That is what you do. You provide for your family. You keep a roof over their head. And he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Not from lack of effort,
Right.
but he couldn't do it. He's useless. He's horrible. He's sinned. He's eternally sinned, if we view it that way. But he didn't. He nurtured me. He raised me in the gospel. He taught me the scriptures. He taught me how to pray. He's given me everything I need in this life. But he has all this weight on his shoulders because men are supposed to provide, and he couldn't.
Yeah.
So that's why I get a little almost sensitive when it comes to roles, and when I feel too much pressure is put on him, because I worry about things like that. And that's not, I just think it sometimes gets in the way of the personal revelation. Heavenly Father says, this is you.
Right.
This is you. My husband's and our patriarchal blessings kind of reverse roles. It's really clear. He's going to be able to work from home the vast majority of the future. So he's going to be able to be home, whereas I'll be in social work, out of the home a little more. And so there'll always be one of us there. But, it's just kind of funny. Even the things it talks about, it's like, you're going to be doing this, you're going to be doing that. And his is like, you're going to be involved with the children. You're going to teach them how to pray. And mine's like, you're going to teach some life skills.
That's cool.
So it's just kind of, yeah. So that's why I don't know if I'm overly sensitive. I probably am. I really probably am. But that's what I think about, and that's kind of what I get nervous about when we talk about roles and things like that. And we put emphasis, nothing's more important. Nothing will make a woman better than this experience, which, while I agree motherhood is that incredible, there's no doubt in my mind that it's going to be. At the same time, I worry because that's what creates that weight on the women who can't have children or who never get married, and they feel so incomplete, and it's so hard for them when we say everything that makes life great comes from this, when there is truly fulfilling things that come elsewhere. So I disagreed with the counter argument a lot and a lot of things, most things, but I did I understood why they felt a reaction to those things, and why they were concerned about it creating feelings of inadequacy in women.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, that was a really long spiel.
Good. Yeah, I think it is hard. I mean, I feel like in general, in most cases, the mom is at home, blah, blah, blah. So I think that's why they focus so much on that. But I agree with you that it shouldn't be defined by that. And I think that's where we have to rely so heavily on our Heavenly Father to know, because it even says in your patriarchal blessing, I mean, that was meant to be, like that's supposed to be how your lives are. And I think that's awesome. And it reminds me of the talks we watched of the younger girls speaking, who they're like, who am I supposed to choose, my mom or my dad? And that just confirms to me that they both, and I know this, but they're both so important because they both do different things. And I know they kind of said, my dad's a protector, blah, 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 and they kind of outlined their roles. But I mean, every family is unique and individual. And so I just think it's cool to know that moms and dads are so important, and they offer different things in different families. And whatever works for you, I feel like that's perfect because it's your family and you got to do what works best for you. So
Thanks. And it makes sense why they push the goal structure, because I think that is the average. The average, women are on average more this way, men are on average more that way. And so it does complement them. In general, that is kind of what works out best for a family most of the time. And I can see why they're so careful, because we see some of the negatives that come from trying to be open-minded. Then it comes, well, both parents get to pursue careers and be equal in that, and neither parent ends up really being home.
right.
And the kids are the ones who suffer from it. So I can see why they also resist certain changes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you, Emily? I mean, growing up, was your dad like he worked and your mom stayed home, or did they both work, or?
Yeah, my mom, she stayed home with us, and my dad went out of the home for work. So it was pretty similar to what they're describing here. But I appreciate your perspective that you bring in, Alex, because since I grew up in such, I don't know, where my dad was out of the home and my mom was in the home, that's always just been in my mindset. So to hear different ways that people grew up, I wasn't aware or as sensitive as you were to those issues or way that she worded things in the talk. So I thought that was good to get a different perspective.
Thanks. I was the most prideful 10-year-old you guys could ever imagine meeting. I was so angry, prideful as a kid. And I was I'm never, anything defined. I'm being told what to do, I would resist, It's I'm never going to be a stay-at-home mom. I'm never going to be a housewife. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And if I was growing up now, I would be gender confused or transgender or whatever, because I very much related to being a boy, not a girl. And I was convinced God made a mistake and put me in the wrong body for many, many years. Even though I did have feminine traits, nothing insulted me more than being called a girl. or being compared to a girl. I mean, it was instant fury if someone did that, because I was like, how dare you say that to me? It was, and I grew out of it. And that's why I'm so against people pushing that on kids, because let them figure it out. Typically what we have a problem with is the gender roles, not our actual sex, because I would be a very gay man if I had like switched over or anything, because I was only ever attracted to boys. I just hated the roles that went with being a girl. And my dad, again, the nurturer, he was so good at letting me just rant at 10 years old about how I'm never gonna. He's like, that's okay. As long as your husband's willing to fill those roles, it doesn't matter. As long as all those needs are being met, that's what's important. And it's like, okay, I can't do that. Because it's just, I couldn't stand the future. I couldn't stand the idea of it. And he told me what I need to hear. And sure enough, it's kind of actually working out that way. Not as, I'm nowhere near as extreme as I was at 10, and I want to be with my children. But it's just, that was comforting for me as a kid to hear that, which is kind of funny. So it's kind of coming out tonight, or it's just like, I just remember my dad said, as long as all of those needs are being met, the family is getting all of those things. That in the priesthood, it makes all the sense in the world why men have the priesthood.
Mm-hmm.
And women, we are here for experience. We came to earth to get a body and gain experience, and then to return to Heavenly Father to live there forever. We cannot get a body without women. That is a woman's job. That is what, even Adam became mortal through Eve. Every man to ever be born, every child to ever be born was only born of a woman. And then the parents nurture us, and then it's only through the saving ordinances of the priesthood that we're able to return to Heavenly Father to live. So it's so equal in ways we never even think of, because we're born and then we forget about that whole process and focus, well, why do the men get to do everything? And it's not true.
Yeah, I think that should definitely be the focus, is to remember. And Sister Beck did say this, that we're equal with our husband. We're partners together. And I had a teach Relief Society. It's been like a year ago, but I can't remember what the talk was called or who did it, but it was pretty much talking about how as husband and wife, we're equal. As a wife, we're not behind our husband and we're not in front of our husband. We're side by side. And that's one of the main goals of marriage and in our life, is to learn to become those equal partners. And just because you say you're equal doesn't mean you both have to do so many chores each day each. You know what I mean? It's not about that. Like, sometimes you're going to be carrying more than your part. But that's just part of being in a marriage. And it doesn't have to be constant, but say your spouse is sick or something happened, like sometimes you have to pick up that slack, and that's okay, because you're a partnership, and that's what you do. You just do it. You pick it up and make it work. And so going back to, your dad at home and your mom working, like you said, your dad couldn't make ends meet. He tried, and your mom had a good job that she could do, and that's what they did, and that's how they made it work. And so that's, I'm sure it was hard for both of them at times, like you said, but I mean, that's how they worked together to make their partnership equal and to take care of their family. So
It's true. I love that.
just trying to be equal. I mean, equal doesn't always mean exactly the same equal, but to work together to make everything work synchronously, like, it's so important.
Yeah, for everyone to do their part to make ends meet, all ends meet, not just financial ends meet.
Yes, no matter what it takes, like, you gotta, especially after you have kids, like, just gotta do whatever it takes, whether if it's nurturing them or providing, money needs, like, gotta do what you gotta do. Because me, I'm the opposite. Like, I'd love to be a stay-at-home mom if I could, but I have to work right now, and it's fine because he gets to go with me to work, and I get to check on him, and it's like perfect. But our goal in the future is, I would love to be a stay-at-home mom. So it's just funny how Heavenly Father created us so differently in our personalities, and and that's how he wants it because we're all different. So
I agree.
yeah. What about you, Emily? I mean, are you wanting to be a working mom or just see how it goes, or would you want to be stay-at-home mom?
I would really, really like to be a stay-at-home mom. I never, all growing up, I was like the exact opposite. I never had any sort of career or like any sort of, yeah, career goals or anything that I strongly wanted to do. I just wanted to be a mom, um, and I thought that would happen. But my husband and I have been struggling with infertility for like a year and a half, and so now I'm trying to figure out like, what do I do after school? And
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, I understand, like, I have a baby now, but I was in a spot where I was told I couldn't have kids, so I feel for you. Like, it's really hard to be like, and not that you won't have kids, but it's just hard to accept, like, it's not working how I want. Like, what is going on?
yeah.
It's really hard, but I promise you it will happen when you least expect it. Like, as soon as I accepted, okay, I can't have kids, then I got pregnant. And I was
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah, it was weird. But it's just, I know it's so hard to be patient, but I feel for you and just keep the faith because that's all you can do. And it's so hard, but it will happen when it's supposed to. Even though I'm sure that's what everyone tells you, but
Just wish it would happen now.
I know it's so hard. And, like, it's just, it just happens when you least expect it. Like, I don't know. I'm telling you. But, some people can plan. I mean, did you plan to get pregnant, Alex? Was that like a plan?
So, I mean, I've been baby hungry since I was 4. My little brother was about 6 months, and I'm not even exaggerating. I wanted my own baby Michael. I wanted my own baby Michael. So I've been baby hungry for about 23 years, and we had to wait almost 2 years into our marriage because God made it so painfully, critically clear. You need to get this degree. I prepared you to do this work. And I just want to be a mom. So I've taken 18 credits every semester for the last like year and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like this semester I'm taking 16 credits on top of my internship just to finish up, and we figured it out and we prayed about it, and we're like, okay, so if we get pregnant here, the baby will be born after graduation. And that's like this, so literally the due date is where graduation's April 7th and the due date's May 9th. So, and it was one of those kind of, we shouldn't have gotten pregnant then, but God clearly just, he made the timing really, really, really clear to us, because Josh was working away for the summer and I stayed at school because I was taking the 18 credits every semester. And so I was just going to visit him. And the first month that we could start trying and know that we're safe to have the baby, after I'd graduate, I saw him like for 3 days, about half a week to a week before I was even ovulating. And I still somehow got pregnant. So it was just, and we'd kind of tried before because I stopped listening and just really wanted to get pregnant. And we had like a really early miscarriage. And it's just, it clearly, Lord's timing. So I've been really blessed in certain ways where he's made things really, really clear, which helps so much.
Yeah.
Like he told me right from the get-go what my major was supposed to be, and everyone else was like, I don't know what to do. It's like, man, I'm so blessed. So this was kind of the other thing. I had to wait, almost 2 years past where I wanted to. I would have been like, okay, we're married, let's have kids. But I know, like, my friend, they're working on adopting 3 foster kids right now. And the moment the adoption goes through is probably when she's actually going to get pregnant. She's been trying for the last like 4 years.
That happened to my grandma. They had been married for like 2 years or some. And as soon as they adopted my uncle, they got pregnant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like
And
just a few months after they adopted him, they got pregnant and they had 5 other kids.
Oh, my.
I've heard that so many times, and it's like God's like, the only way you're going to actually adopt this child, which is supposed to be yours, is if you can't have your own for long enough. Okay, now here are yours too.
It's crazy. Like, and Emily, this is kind of a personal question, but have you been to like a fertility doctor or anything to see?
Yeah, a little bit. We've done some initial testings here in Rexburg, but we're kind of waiting until we move. And then there's a really good fertility clinic that we will go to after graduation. So we're just waiting on that.
Where are you moving to?
Like, there's probably some good ones in Boston.
Yeah, so we're moving to Maine, but there is a place called Boston IVF that they have like a branch up in Maine that we can go to.
So I was gonna say, if you need someone, I know someone in Salt Lake too that I saw. And
Oh, yeah. Well, sadly, we'll be far away.
I ended up not needing anything, but I did go see her a couple times, just talking about options and stuff. But yeah, she was really awesome too in Salt Lake. But I'm glad that they have one where you're going. So.
I am too.
They actually just had a breakthrough where they've discovered there's a flash of light at the moment of conception.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I came across this article like a week ago, but the implications of knowing this is it means that when like IVF and everything, they can take the multiple eggs and they can see them according to the brightness of the flash, shows which ones are most viable, because the weaker the flash, the more likely to miscarry early on and stuff. The stronger the flash, the more likely to be taken to full term and be perfectly healthy. So they can know which eggs to put back in.
Wow.
And everything. Yeah. And I was like, that is huge. I love the idea that there's a flash at conception. That's such a beautiful concept just to begin with.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So I'm sorry, and I'm sorry if that was prying on my part.
Good. I just want you guys to know, like, honestly, when it happens for you, Emily and Alex, like, and you guys know, like, being the mom is seriously the best thing ever. And I'll tell you, it takes everything you have, and it's the biggest sacrifice ever, because, I mean, it's all about your baby. And the first couple weeks are so hard because you don't sleep and you feel crazy. But I'm telling you, like, I just look at my baby and I'm like, you're the best thing ever. Like, they really are. And, like, so I'm just saying, look forward to it, because when it does happen, it will be the right timing. And it's awesome. Whether if you're a stay-at-home mom or not, like, it's just the best thing. And I feel like, obviously, even if you adopt it or anything, like, you'll still love that much, because kids are just awesome.
Thanks, Danny. It was great working with you guys.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it.
Semester.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe I'll run into you somewhere like at a state conference, Emily.
I know, right? Oh my gosh, that is seriously so crazy.
Yeah, because I'll be pretty close to the Maine border too, probably. So that's really funny.
Well, I'll look out for you.
Okay, good. You guys take care and God bless.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for setting it up, Alex, tonight.
Absolutely. I'll miss you guys.
Bye.